Hi everyone, welcome to a Mental Health Monday. I thought I would start by showing you little kittens because I think little kittens are good for our mental health. So these little guys were orphaned and we're just fostering them for the Humane Society, and they're little bottle babies and they're super fun. I won't hold them the whole time, but I thought it would be fun to start out with them. So one more close up. Okay. All right. So I want to thank Cathedral of the Rockies for inviting me to participate in one of these. My name is Vashti Summervill, and I'm a parent coach and a therapeutic consultant. And today I want to talk about parenting through discomfort and anxiety. And I don't have it memorized, so I'm going to look at my notes on occasion, but hopefully you'll forgive me for that. So these are definitely anxious times that we're living in. There's a lot of uncertainty, a lot of uncomfortable feelings coming up for everyone, for adults and kids alike. But the upside of this time period is we really have an opportunity to work on cultivating resilience and strengthening our emotional toolkit. And that first happens through us modeling as parents and then guiding our kids to do the same. Brené Brown says, give yourself permission to feel. Give yourself and others time to figure out what is really going on, and this is where growth happens. So one of the most effective ways to raise resilient kids is to guide them to be able to sit through times of discomfort and uncertainty and to become the solver of their own problems, right? So this requires taming our own fears and anxieties surrounding our children's challenges, as well as taming our own anxieties about the state of the world and then guiding our kids to do the same. So let's flip the script on the idea that negative emotions are a bad thing and model welcoming them as teachers, right? They're coming to help us prepare to take action in some way and to help build resiliency muscles. And as parents, I can't overstate this. It's so important that we model this before trying to coach our kids. But once we get the hang of it and model it, our kids can be coached to be emotionally literate and be coached to learn resilience. The field of positive psychology says that a protective factor for wellness is to have an optimistic thinking style. Now, this doesn't mean that we pretend everything is always rosy. It has to do with how we view setbacks and challenges. So as you begin to flip the script on uncomfortable emotions and guide your children to do the same, let's think about the differences between a pessimistic and an optimistic thinking style and try to cultivate more of an optimistic thinking style. So a pessimistic thinking style could be described as a catastrophizer, right? So when setbacks happen, the pessimist thinks this is permanent, this will last forever, pervasive, this is going to undermine everything, it's personal, it's me, it's my fault, and it's uncontrollable. There's nothing I can do about it. An optimistic thinking style views setbacks as temporary, no feeling is final, this will pass, local. This relates to one situation and does not permeate everything. Not personal, it is not all my fault, and controllable. There's something I can do about it. So just kind of start to think about the differences. And once again, it's not saying I'm just being a positive person all the time, but it's when I'm in the midst of this discomfort or this uncertainty or a setback or a challenge, how am I viewing it? And it's better to know that it's temporary, know that it's local, it's not permeating everything, it's not personal, and there are things within my control. So I get really triggered when my kids are uncomfortable or having really, really big feelings. And I think there's 4 sort of typical responses that parents can have when their kids have big feelings. And these aren't healthy responses, in my opinion. So we can go into the mode of the problem solver, right? So when we go into problem solving mode, we're sending a couple of messages. We're saying, I don't think you can handle this on your own, so I'm going to solve it for you. But a secondary message is, I can't handle my emotions around your ups and downs, And so I need to get involved to bring myself relief. Did you hear the kittens? They're starting to fight. The other mode is the cheerleader mode. So cheerleader mode could send an invalidating message, right? Things aren't that bad. You can get out of this quickly if you just cheer up. And this mode is also kind of saying, hurry up and get over this because it's really uncomfortable for me. Your feelings are uncomfortable for me. Now, once again, a positive attitude and encouragement are great, but this isn't teaching our kids to sit inside of their discomfort and discover the messages and the opportunities for growth, okay? So we have the problem solver mode, the cheerleader mode. The next mode would be the distractor, right? So distracting sends the message of, wow, this is really uncomfortable. Let's go get some ice cream and run away from those feelings. So just take a minute to think about it. How do you typically handle anxiety and uncomfortable emotions and setbacks personally as the adult, right? Do you try to avoid these feelings by numbing out or distracting in some way? And I'm going to quote Brene Brown again. She says, when you numb the bad emotions, you numb the good emotions too. You can't selectively numb. So do you turn to your phone or binge watch Netflix? Do you eat? Do you turn to alcohol or drugs? Or do you allow these feelings to sit with you? This is a great opportunity to reflect on what we are modeling for our kids and then improve as needed. So the final sort of unhealthy mode or reaction to our kids having big feelings would be the denier. And denying sends a few different messages. Your feelings aren't real and you shouldn't be having them. Or I don't have time for your feelings, move on, I don't have time. Or you're overreacting, get over it. And we want to allow for our kids to have all of their feelings and learn to work through them. We're not going to label these feelings as bad, right? I want to talk a little bit about overparenting and autonomy and resilience. So the cover story in the May 2020 Atlantic Monthly is titled "The Anxious Child and the Crisis of Modern Parenting." It's by Kate Julian, and in this article, she quotes Lynn Lyons, who wrote Anxious Kids, Anxious Parents. And Lynn says that the childhood mental health crisis risks becoming self-perpetuating. And this is a direct quote. The worse that the numbers get about our kids' mental health, the more anxiety, depression, and suicide increase, the more fearful parents become. And the more fearful parents become, the more they continue to do the things that inadvertently contribute to these problems. So let's look at that. In other words, she's saying parents can often make well-meaning accommodations to minimize difficulty, stress, challenges for our kids instead of letting them struggle. And this strategy works against helping them manage these in the long term, okay? Excuse me. So here's some questions to reflect on as you look at how do I help to cultivate resilience with my children. So how can you reduce making accommodations and practice sitting in your own discomfort about your child's stress and challenges? Okay? How might you observe and support your child, but refrain from doing the heavy lifting when it comes to their challenges and setbacks? Where can you give more choice, independence, and control? So for example, do you fill out school forms or medical forms for your 15-year-old, and could you allow them to take over those? Do you read the menu in order for your 10 or 11-year-old? Do you email teachers when this is something that your child could be taken care of? So whenever you can, send the message, I believe you are capable. Remember that in order for our kids to build resiliency and capability, they have to have some meaningful control in their lives. And they also need to believe in our belief in their capability, right? You're wise enough and strong enough to learn your way through anything. I believe in you. That's the message that we want to send time and time again. So practice being a non-anxious parent. Let your kids be uncomfortable and struggle and even sometimes fail. and let them know that you believe in their ability to solve their own problems. So, how do we respond to our kids when they're having big feelings? How do we respond in a way that helps build resilience? No one likes to feel alone in their discomfort. So our job as parents is to find that line between listening and validating and guiding as opposed to distracting, denying, cheerleading, or problem solving. So the way you begin to guide your kids through discomfort is to better understand yourself and the ways you move through your own discomfort. So we talked about cultivating an optimistic thinking style. Let's review that. So that's the first way we can respond to these big feelings. So letting kids know these are temporary. What's happening is temporary. No feeling is final. This will pass. This is local. It's relating to this one situation. It's not going to permeate everything forever. I get that COVID is not local, it's global, but once again, it's not going to be forever. When big feelings are coming up, not personal, not entirely my fault, controllable, there is something I can do about it. So there is also this 3-step process that I like to teach parents for helping kids move through these big feelings or, discomfort or uncertainty. So step 1 is name it to tame it. One of my favorite authors, he's a psychiatrist, Dr. Dan Siegel, says that the key to working through difficult emotions is that you have to name them to tame them. So we have to dig deep here and figure out what are we really feeling and why. We almost have to become emotional detectives and keep peeling back the layers until we discover the root, right? And I teach that behavior and reactivity, whether it's with a kid or an adult, is always a message from something going on deeper. So what's really going on? And emotional literacy is being able to describe with a little more nuance what we're really feeling beyond happy, sad, or mad. There's a tool that we're going to link in the comments here, or I'm not sure where they'll link it, but you'll find the information. It's called the Mood Meter, and it was created by the Yale Center for Emotional Intelligence. And this really helps you have this sort of nuanced list of emotions and really pinpoint what it is you're feeling and why. It's a great tool for adults and kids alike. So we're going to link that. So step 1, when your kid's having a big feeling, or you are, name it to tame it. Step 2, accept it and sit with it. So conscious parenting expert Dr. Shefali, another one of my favorite authors, reminds us to accept the as is of a situation. It's here, so why fight against it? Fighting against it isn't going to change the fact that it is here. So accept that the feeling or situation exists and don't try to distract, numb, or deny. Practice visualizing feelings flowing through you, right? Delivering whatever message they need to deliver, and in time, moving on, right? You're learning from these feelings. They're helping you in some way, helping you pivot, helping you adjust, helping you respond, and then they flow through you. So there is no need to become fearful of the as is, because no feeling is final. So we have the 2 steps so far: name it to tame it, and accept it and sit with it. The 3rd step is welcome it and work with it. So flipping your thinking and welcoming visitors such as anxiety, tired, frustrated, fear, disgusted, etc., and ask, what have you come to teach me? How can you help me grow? In what ways will I become stronger because of you? And that's a new way of thinking about these feelings. A good skill for parents to practice is the art of asking open-ended guiding questions rather than giving advice. So you're welcoming each stumble and failure and uncomfortable situation is a great teacher for both you and your child. So some examples of some open-ended sort of guiding questions or phrases to use with your kids would be, what is the most important thing to you right now? And sometimes it takes a while to peel back those layers. So you might say, tell me more, and let your kid talk some more, and then ask again, tell me more, and what else? You could ask, what word best describes how you're feeling? And maybe use that Mood Meter app to help them become more emotionally literate and unpack what's really going on. The other questions I love, what solutions do you see? Or what's within your control? What can you What can you do about this situation right now? And sometimes it's nothing, and it's accepting that. Sometimes it's, I can just calm myself down. I can't change what's happening externally, but I can work to be calmer through it. Another question, asking your kid, what are your ideas? Or what are your thoughts on that? So those are just some good questions to spark conversation as we coach and guide our kids to be solver of their own problems, manager of their own emotions. So in closing, I just want to reflect for a moment on strategies to help you plan ahead for sitting through this, discomfort, uncertainty with both you and your kids. So what positive coping mechanisms help you work through tough moments? Deep breathing, taking a walk, meditation, journaling, creating something. It could be cooking a good meal, creating a piece of art. What positive coping mechanisms help you sort of soothe through some of the discomfort? We're not distracting, but we're going to try to feel a little better as we move through uncomfortable things. And are you able to get quiet enough to understand what it is you're really feeling, to dig deep and really, really understand what is the root of what you're feeling? And then what is this feeling trying to tell you or guide you to do? And have you ever thought of the concept of welcoming discomfort or setbacks as a teacher, and then approach them when they arrive with a spirit of learning and taking on the challenge? Like, let's do this. Let's figure this out. So I would encourage everyone to create a list of positive coping mechanisms to maybe replace some of the negative ones, whether it's binge watching Netflix, escaping into your phone, maybe it's having a glass of wine to take the edge off. So what are the stress relief resources that you can tap into and that you can model using for your kids as you sit through your own moments of discomfort and uncertainty? And you're working with these, allowing them to guide you and teach you. So get creative and figure out what works for you. And remember, you are the model for your kids for how they will do this for life. No pressure, right? So this also might be a good time to reflect on which modes you typically go into when your child is experiencing big feelings. Are you the problem solver? Are you the distractor, the cheerleader, the denier? What is your kind of standard response? And it could be a combination of some of those. Or maybe you have it figured out and you'll share some of your great ideas in the comments here, because I think we have a lot to learn from one another, because everybody's got their strengths as a parent and as a human, and how we walk in this world. So that's all I have today. Thank you so much for inviting me to be a part of this and for taking a few minutes to spend time with me. I hope that this information has been helpful. And if any of you feel like you would like some one-on-one parent coaching, you can find me through my website. It's familyhealingpathways.com. And once again, my name is Vashti Summervill. Stay well and keep cultivating resilience as we all work together to heal this world. Thank you so much. Bye.